Definitely a very physical team. They like to run the ball a lot. The quarterback's good, and you got a good receiving core as well. But mostly a physical running the ball team.
I was going to say that running the ball thing, that has not been, it's not who they were last year, but this year they've had a lot of success with it. What, have you noticed anything about either of those two freshman running backs and kind of how they go about doing their job?
Yeah, I mean, just being able to have success early your freshman year shows that you obviously have the capability to do good things, and they make it happen on the field.
What do you feel like is the most difficult matchup-wise for you guys on that offense? Is there somebody that you're like, all right, we can't lose this guy, or?
One of their receivers was I think it was their leading receptionist. Yeah, he's out. So him being off the list definitely allows us to focus more on the run game, I feel like.
Yeah.
So just being able to everyone do their job and win their matchup is what we're focused on.
What's been the best part of what you guys? When did you guys get out here?
The 27th was our first night.
So you guys, what's been the best thing?
So far, Disney. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then tonight we got the Lowry's thing. I'm excited for that. And then the Wax Museum. I thought that was really cool last year.
Oh, really? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you much. I appreciate it.
Hey, how's it going, Cole?
Good. How you doing?
So we were talking to RJ yesterday. He said that last year's performance, you guys gave up a lot of passing yards and points and things like that. He said it's kind of motivated you guys and left a bad taste in your mouth. How much do you want to kind of get that out and just perform better on Monday?
More than anything, last year it was such a close game. Everyone's always saying, like, oh, that was such a good game. But on the defensive side, we played terrible. We gave up all those points, yards, and receptions, and it's just that's all I've been thinking about for the most part is we can't do that again. And us being not nearly as depleted as last year, I think is going to help us do that. So having our secondary pretty much everybody for the most part will help us succeed, I think.
And then speaking of not having Clark, what kind of a difference does that make for you guys?
Obviously, I mean, he's an All-American corner. He's definitely going to be a big loss, but we got Travis Broughton, Zemiah Vaughn. Like, we got two guys that are still going to get the job done.
What about just his leadership? He's been, obviously, he kind of took you under his wing and stuff into your career, but not having him there, who's going to fill that leadership void? Is that kind of something you look at as?
For sure. I mean, he was a captain of the team, so him leaving definitely leaves that void. RJ ended up being voted for the honorary captain for this game, or not voted, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And obviously me, RJ, like I said, Zemiah and JT, I think the secondary has a lot of experience, so us all being able to lead in our own different ways will definitely help us, I think.
What was your reaction when you found out Clark wasn't going to be with you for this game?
I was happy for him. Obviously you want everybody to play, but people have to make their careers, and I think it'll be worth it for him. I'm excited for him.
What has he just meant to the program in the time that you've been here?
A ton. I mean, this past year, this whole off season, I was working out with him, doing hot yoga 3 times a week, and just being able to learn from him and learn how he works and how that paid off for him taught me a lot.
So you guys became pretty close, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
How excited are you for his future, what he can do?
I'm extremely excited, especially, like I said, seeing how he works and just seeing that the work you put in off the field will pay off at some point, and it's paid off for him this year.
How about for you, looking at what Clark's been able to do? Do you see yourself thinking, wow, it's going to be me going to the NFL someday?
That's the goal. I mean, obviously, seeing him perform like that and me having a pretty good year and just knowing that the more I work, the better off I can be is just super exciting.
What have you seen from maybe the progression of the young guys on this defense that come in and had some struggles early in the year and stuff, but just getting better and better as the season's gone on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, guys like Lander Barton, Connor O'Toole, guys that this is their, like Connor switched to defense and then Lander being a freshman, just the more and more game experience we're getting, just the better off our defense has been. Early on, we had a lot of mistakes, missed tackles, missed assignments, but as the weeks go on, those definitely minus out, and we've been playing some good defense.
You guys won the Pac-12 last year, got to the Rose Bowl, lost in a kind of a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
How much does it mean to you to finish this off with the win on New Year's Day?
A lot. Everyone always says things like, oh, the Rose Bowl is once in a lifetime, but for us, we got fortunate enough to do it 2 times, and just being able to go back and change the outcome and being able to say that we're Rose Bowl winners is definitely something that is important to me.
How would you describe last year's experience being in that environment? I mean, it's kind of iconic, the Rose Bowl on that day in that setting. What was it like for you?
Sure. I mean, it was awesome being able to run out into all the fans and everything. I don't know the exact percentage, but it felt like there was a lot of Utah fans there. And just knowing that, I'm pretty sure we got a lot of guys traveling this year for the fan base, and I think it'll be cool having the red and the blue, different colors,
Contrast,
so that
yeah.
way you can see the ratio, because last year everyone was in red, so it was hard to tell. But, I mean, it's an amazing atmosphere.
What about, I guess, for the defense, what is the main key for you guys against the Penn State offense?
Owning our 20 square feet, that's a big thing that Coach Scally harps on, and we all try to practice in our everyday lives. You know, if everyone just does their job, beats their guy, does their assignment, then we can win this game.
Does Penn State remind you of any team that you've played this year?
I wouldn't say it reminds me of any specific team, but they do a lot of things. I mean, they're successful in the run game, like certain teams we've played. They got a good throw game as well. It's not like they can only run the ball, but yeah, they're a really physical team, so just being able to go on that.
What do you make of their two young running backs?
They're impressive. Obviously, being able to come in and do things as I don't know if they're true freshmen or redshirt freshmen, but two freshman running backs being able to succeed like that's pretty impressive.
And then quarterback, veteran guy, been around a long time.
Yeah, he's good. Obviously, you see him making plays all over the field, whether he's running it or throwing it. He's able to scramble if he needs to, but he's a good guy.
Thanks, Cole. Appreciate it.
The two running backs are true freshmen, by the way. They're tight ends. How big a role? What are your impressions of them? How big a role are they in their offense?
Good. They got number 86, a few other guys. He's the main guy that I've seen. He has a good bit of receptions. He's a good athlete, it looks like. He's a physical blocker, and that's usually my guy, so that's usually who I've been watching mostly. But, yeah, he's a good player.
Okay. How do you make up for the loss of a player like Phillips? Like, what do you like? What do you try not to do too much? Do you, like, what goes through your group's mind?
I mean, we're playing the same as if he was out there. We got Zemiah Vaughn, Travis Broughton. We got a lot of guys that can still make plays. Obviously, Clark, All-American corner, he's just declared for the draft. He's elite, but having the depth that we have right now is just we're trying not to have a big drop-off and change in our game, but we'll miss him for sure, but we got guys that are going to step up.
For somebody like me who hasn't seen you guys play live, seen your games, what makes your defense so successful?
Our physicality and our relentlessness, I feel like. Us having all 11 guys running the ball, no matter if you miss a tackle, you got 10 other guys right there to help you out. And I think people will see that on Monday.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Cool, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. One thing I like asking football players is who's the funniest guy on your roster this year?
You're going to have to go with Stone Azarkan.
Okay.
He's a walk-on from Colorado. He's a really funny guy.
One of your other teammates, I think, mentioned him as well. Was there a particular moment or just any?
Every day, man. In the locker room, he's always making jokes, being funny, but definitely him, I would say.
And I think, RJ mentioned that Cam Rising might be one of the funnier guys, maybe underrated too.
He's
Some
up
people,
there.
maybe he has to gain your trust and stuff first, but
Yeah.
would you rate him as maybe one of the funnier
Oh,
guys?
yeah, for sure. He's up there as well. And, you know, where you're in the locker room depends on who you're around, too. Like, Cam and RJ are in the same area, so he's around him a lot. And I see Stone all the time, but Cam's a funny guy.
And just speaking of Cam, what has he meant to the program? Obviously, you're a defensive guy, so you guys go up against him quite a bit during practice. Just what kind of player is he, and what has he meant to the program?
He's a great player, obviously, and I mean, being on the offensive defense side is you don't get to see him interact with the offense, but in winter and everything, and in our team settings, he's a great leader. I think that's one of his best attributes, and just him being able to make plays on the field and still be like a really caring person is awesome.
And I know you've been asked about Clark Phillips, and obviously he's not playing in this game, but he's a California kid. What has he meant to the Utah program? And obviously you share that secondary with him.
A ton. I mean, this whole offseason, me and him worked a ton, like pretty much every day after workouts and stuff. We'd go do yoga and different things like that, and just being able to learn from him and his work ethic and see him make it pay off on the field has been pretty cool.
You mentioned yoga. Is that something that just you and him do? Some of the other guys do? Is that
a few people do. It was mostly me and I don't know what everyone's doing on their own time, but me and Clark would go together a lot. Connor O'Toole would come, and just being able to do yoga, become more flexible, and just help you become more athletic.
And speaking of Penn State and their offense, what have you seen from them on film? What are you expecting from them?
They're a really physical team. They run the ball a ton. Obviously, they still throw the ball, and they're good at that too. But their two running backs, like we had talked about, are pretty good freshman guys, and they're really physical.
And their quarterback, anything about him stand out?
He's a really good quarterback. He's got a lot of experience. I'm pretty sure he's been there for a few years, and he makes plays.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, obviously, beginning of the year, you guys you struggled against the run, right? At the end of the season, it got a little bit better. You got two running backs that I'm sure you've been asked about a million times. What do you think that's different about your team now that gives you hope against a team like that?
Just experience mostly. I mean, playing, like you said early on, we missed so many tackles against Florida, and then we cut it down slowly. At UCLA, we missed a lot of tackles, and then since then, I feel like we've been doing a lot better tackling. And just having everybody run to the ball, like I had mentioned to somebody else, is so important. You know, if I miss a tackle, I know that Gabe or Karene or anybody's going to be right there because I miss. They're getting tackled within a yard with everyone running the ball.
What do you think has been the change in the defense this year?
I think experience is such a big thing. Having everybody play together, we had a lot of new parts to it. Obviously, we had a lot of returners, but just having everybody be able to play together and just effort and our relentlessness to the ball has been so helpful.
A lot of people want to say that your program and Penn State kind of mirror each other, right, in a lot of ways. Do you see that on film?
To an extent. I mean, everyone calls us a physical team who likes to run the ball. I don't know anything about their defense, but we're known for playing good defense, running the ball, being physical, and they run the ball and they're pretty physical too, so I can see where people say that, but I mean, we'll see on Monday how the programs contrast.
Scally kind of talked about this maybe being similar to that Oregon State game in the sense that kind of another team that resembles you guys. Do you feel like you can take from that game, or are they each game too different?
For sure. I actually almost said that to somebody else, but I didn't want to like throw anything out there that I was wrong on just in case they're not that similar, but I was going to say that, which is funny. But yeah, I mean, like I said, they run the ball a ton. They got physical guys, and just like our biggest thing right now is just being physical and doing your job. If we can all out-physical them and be your guy, do your assignment, then we'll be just fine on defense.
When you committed to Utah, I'm sure, like any program, you're sold on kind of what the success can be and everything like that. You make it to the Rose Bowl your first season. I mean, did you ever envision that this would kind of be your trajectory 2 years in?
Not necessarily. I mean, last year everyone would always say, like, oh, this is a once-in-a-lifetime. My family, friends were like, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Like, you better enjoy it. And then losing just really sucked because, you never know if you're going to get that chance again. So, yeah, I played in the Rose Bowl in freshman year where we lost, so it's not that cool. But having another opportunity to do it again this year and just being able to redeem ourselves is special for me.
You talked about the redeeming side of that. I mean, is that kind of what's driving you guys this year?
For me, at least personally, I mean, defensively we played terrible. It's a terrible feeling when everyone's talking about how good of the game Ohio State was because, I mean, yeah, it was close, but they had a ton of yards. They killed us on defense. So just seeing us being able to have another chance to actually stop an offense and us be contributing. Obviously, we contributed last year, but not as much as we need to.
Is it nicer knowing that you have, at least full health outside of Clark being there?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, everyone. But, yeah, losing Clark's a big loss. But like I had mentioned, we have depth that we didn't have last year. We had Mekhi Bernard playing corner, and just having Clark leave and having Travis and Zamiah being able to be right there just in case, I think we'll be fine.
What has Sione Vaki brought to the team? Obviously, he wasn't getting any playing time, still probably coming away from his mission and everything, but what have you seen from him that's allowed him to see the field?
He's a great player. He's a dog. I mean, he's so helpful in showing up, tackling in the secondary that you don't always have. Cornerbacks aren't always super eager to go make plays on the screens and everything, and having Vaki right next to me, being able to run through blocks and everything is awesome. You're running up there, you're expecting him to make the play, so it's exciting to have him out there.
Were you on the first bus, or did you stay on?
So I was on the first bus, but I did enjoy it. So last year, I didn't go on like any rides. It was raining.
That's true.
And I was with like a group of people who have never been before, so we didn't know what to do. So last year sucked, but this year I had a lot of fun. But I wanted to stay till like 6, but there was only a 5 and a 7. So I was like, you know what, I'm leaving. But I had a good time.
You had to follow. I heard Cam's huge in this.
I wasn't with him. I was with that guy Stone I was talking about, and he knew where we were going. We got to get to some good rides. It was a lot of fun.
Good luck, man.
Thank you. Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So Morgan just told us you were committed to Duke?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. I committed to them early on in the recruiting process, kind of. I was committed to them for a good bit of time, actually, a little less than a year. But I mostly committed because it was right during COVID, and it was just like a spot that I knew I'd be comfortable at, but I wasn't 100% sure on it. And then once Coach Scally reached out, I ended up coming here.
Had you spent much time at Duke with the COVID situation?
Not really. I got I got 2 unofficial visits there, and I committed on my second one. But once COVID happened, I couldn't go visit there at all anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I only went there twice, but not being able to come out here at all, and then ended up coming out and liking it. It was pretty cool.
So you committed to Duke, and at what point did you start to think Utah? Obviously they contacted you.
Yeah, so Coach Scally messaged me on Twitter, and I didn't know a single thing about Utah football. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. And then he was just sending me different graphics of statistics of the team and everything. And my high school safeties coach mentioned to me that they're a really good defense, one of the best in the country. And so I had a lot of trust in him. So I did end up talking to the staff more and everything. And they'd reach out to me all the time. Really, it showed you that it was really family out here. So just being able to have faith in them was it was hard, but it ended up working out.
How did the safeties coach at your high school in Georgia know about what Utah was doing all the way out in the West?
He's just a big football fan. He watches he's a Florida fan actually, but he likes watching defense in college football, and somehow knew about it and told me to give it a look.
So you just finished, you still have one game to go, obviously, but you're 2 years into it. I'd imagine after 2 years, pretty much going about as well as you could expect.
Yep, for sure. I mean, I couldn't have told anybody I was expecting this the whole time. Being able to play so early was super awesome. Being able to get that experience and ended up just growing off of it definitely is pretty cool.
What do safeties have to do against a team that is run heavy?
Show up in the run game. Obviously there's going to be times where the front 7 don't make the play, and a lot of times as a strong safety I'm in the box as well. So I have a lot of similar responsibilities, but just being able to show up and make plays if they do get to us is our biggest thing.
Morgan was comparing them to maybe Oregon State. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Accurate?
Yes, I'd say so. It's funny. Someone else was asking if it compared to a game, and I was going to say them, but I didn't want to say that, and then
He did. Your boss.
yeah, I didn't want to be wrong, and then someone told me Scally said that.
Okay,
So
you already knew.
yes, I would mention it. They are pretty similar, I feel like.
Well, in that game, I think Clark had a pick 6 and whatnot.
He had
So he had a bunch of turnovers. How was Penn State? It doesn't. Northwestern they had some turnovers and the weather was nasty. It would seem like a running team would be hard to get turnovers off of.
Yeah, for sure. That was that game Clark really solidified that he was that guy. He had the 3 interceptions, and hopefully we'll be able to mimic that. Hopefully either all of us or one player can do that, but just being able to stop the run game, make them end up throwing the ball, and just being able to make plays, I think will be important.
How is the defensive backfield as a unit going into this game? Because last year you guys were way short-handed. You got to start a running back. They had all sorts of records in the passing Ohio State was setting in the Rose Bowl. So I would think from a defensive perspective, particularly defensive backfield, you guys it won't be against the same opponent, but you got a reputation to set.
Yeah, we're definitely looking to redeem ourselves in the secondary. A lot of guys weren't even able to play that are playing right now. I want to say I was the only one in the secondary last year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's right. But regardless, either way.
Corners are out. RJ was hurt.
Yeah, RJ wasn't there. Clark was there, but Clark's not playing now. So it was me and Clark, but really I was the only one a part of that last year. So being able to redeem myself and us as a unit, because it sucks everyone talking about how good the Rose Bowl was, because it really wasn't that good for us. And even the offense might think it was good, but defensively they threw the ball all over us. So us being able to redeem ourselves and actually hopefully we can have a good performance and be like, oh, we won that game because of the defense and the offense being able to do their part. So we just got to redeem ourselves.